Hello, I'm George van Driem of the University of Bern in Switzerland. Our study, as a member of a largely Estonian group, or a group based or affiliated in some form of collaboration with Tartu and the Estonian Biocenter there, our study pertains to the language communities of the Gondi Munda branch of the Dravidian language family. There are a number of languages and dialect clusters within this branch of the Dravidian language family, such as Gondi, Konda, Kui, Kuvi, Pengo, and Munda. And these languages form one branch of this major language family of this Indian subcontinent, represented primarily but not exclusively in the south of the subcontinent, but also Brahui you have in Pakistan, and Kurukh-Malto languages also in the north, central, and even northwest of the northeast of the Indian subcontinent. So this one branch is very intriguing for a number of reasons, and to tell you why, a number of modern population genetic studies seem to corroborate or turn out corroborating older theories that have been developed by ethnographers and linguists in the 19th and 20th centuries. So sometimes this new molecular evidence, these markers, these SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, and other genetic markers that are isolated, their internal phylogeny or clades and their geographical distribution, point to a clear corroboration of some of these older ethno-linguistic theories developed by ethnographers, anthropologists, linguists. Not all older theories end up being corroborated, but it turns out that some of the ideas advanced by the more knowledgeable scholars of the past often end up being corroborated. And our study corroborates an idea that was advanced by the very prominent ethnographer and anthropologist Robert van Heine-Geldern in Vienna. And he advanced this idea in 1907 when he said that this part of India, based on his studies of the material culture, the physical anthropology, the immaterial and traditions, the immaterial culture and the material culture, and the kinship systems of these people, and their rites and rituals, that these peoples in central eastern India, all of these different language communities together formed an Urbevolkerung, as he called it, or a primordial native population of this part of the subcontinent. What is remarkable about this is that linguistically, this area where he identified this primordial population to have existed is linguistically heterogeneous. The one group are Munda languages, various languages of the Munda group, and these Munda language communities speak Austroasiatic languages. And most Austroasiatic languages are spoken in Southeast Asia. However, the study by Gyaneshwar Chaubey et al. 2010 corroborated his idea that the Munda languages secondarily adopted Austroasiatic languages and formed part of an indigenous population in this part of the subcontinent. But enmeshed with these Munda language communities, you find these Dravidian language communities of this Gondi Munda branch, these 6 groups that I mentioned, and they too were a remnant, according to Robert van Heine-Geldern, of this Urbevolkerung, of this primordial indigenous population of this part of the Indian subcontinent. And indeed, this is what our study has turned out corroborating. This idea was also later adopted by other anthropologists who studied these peoples and thought that this was a plausible idea based on the material culture, the somatology as it was called, the physical anthropology, that these peoples represented the relict groups of an older population, an older layer of peopling of the Indian subcontinent. And Grigson, von Führer, Heimendorf were amongst these anthropologists. So our study is interesting in this way because it corroborates an older study. Another striking example is the study by Rootsi et al. In 2007, also a largely Estonian group, but not exclusively, where you have this sweep from northern Burma counterclockwise across the eastern Asian seaboard and across subarctic northern Asia in as far west as Finland, and this correlating very nicely with what Michael Fortescue calls the Uralo-Siberian linguistic phylum. It's another case that surprised the geneticists, surprised the population geneticists who saw this finding, particularly in the distribution of subclades of the Y chromosomal haplogroup N. But for linguists, it was particularly interesting because ethnographers and linguists had been claiming this since the 19th century, so that this type of migration must have taken place, sometimes on the basis of physical anthropology, but also on the basis of language, particularly this Uralo-Siberian group of related language families that are distributed in this way all the way to Lapland. So this is our new study on the Gondi Munda branch of the Dravidian languages is similar in this way because it sheds new light on the peopling of the Indian subcontinent and Eurasia as a whole.